Hi everybody, I'm here. I'm looking forward to going through session 2 with you tonight. I'm just going to adjust my phone here so we got kind of a decent angle. I've got a really dry throat, so I'm just going to ask for your forgiveness while I take a quick swig. I'm about a minute early, and I hope that you're going to join me tonight. We've got some fun things to go over tonight. This is like my favorite part of Facebook Live is what we're going to talk about tonight. And I've got some notes I'm going to refer to. While I'm waiting for you to join me, I just want to talk to you a little bit about today in beautiful Florida. My gosh, we had gorgeous temperatures of 75 degrees. And look, I have long sleeves on because I think that's still kind of chilly. Aren't I spoiled or what? Totally. So, hi Marion, I'm so glad that you're here. Yay, I'm not alone. Yay. Okay, I would love it if you would do me a favor. If you can hear me okay, just give me a little like or a little heart so that I know that the audio is good. Hi Julie, I'm glad that you're here. A lot of you I don't know, and I just love this about Facebook Live. Hi Barbara, if you would please just leave a comment on where you're from, that would help a lot because I'd like to kind of know where we're all living geographically. Believe it or not, a lot of your business has to do on demographics. Areas that you live in can really affect sales as well as what's popular. Like I know here in Florida, we're gearing up for the Strawberry Festival. Did you know did you know a huge amount of your strawberries come from Plant City, Florida? And every year they begin harvesting now for the big Plant City Strawberry Festival. So you may not think that those fruit stamps are really important, but they are to us Floridians this time of year. Hi Sylvia and Kristen and Jackie. Yay, I'm not alone. Stephanie, you guys are all here. Great. So make sure you send me a little like or a little heart so that I know that you're with me. Okay. Now that we got some people here, let's chat. I was starting to say that this is my favorite topic of all the things about Facebook Live, and that's because we are going to talk about advertising. We're going to take the idea of what we talked about earlier about coming up with a name and coming up with a theme of what you're going to do on Facebook Live. This is now how you're going to, quote, visually brand yourself. So the number one thing I want to share with you first is, and I have to refer to my notes, I'm so sorry, is you're going to need a logo. You're going to need a visual something so people can identify your event when it's being solicited. Now I'm going to tell you right now that may not seem very important to you, so I want you to put a lot of thought into it. So let's say, for instance, I'm just going to use myself as an example. I do Spotlight with Lisa. That's open to everyone. So Spotlight with Lisa. I created a logo off of a diversion from my blog so that it looks very similar. And that's my branding. But it says Live with Lisa in the same script as my blog font. And the reason I did that is I want people to get used to seeing it over and over and over again so that they can recognize it as it being me. So if they go to my blog, which is what we want, it's going to be reminiscent of that same look. Does that make sense? I hope so. All right, so I want to make sure you guys can hear me. I haven't seen a single like button, so I'm concerned that maybe you're not hearing me okay. So if you could just send me a little like button, that would be great. And I'd also love to know where you're from, because I think demographics is a big deal when it comes to advertising, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. All right, so we've talked about a logo. So how are you going to create it? What's it going to include? Okay, my daughter, the social media film production major specialist, tells me it needs to be simple and concise. All right, so here's the deal. You want to make a branding for yourself. So let's say maybe your name is Midnight Stamper. I'm just throwing that out there. So maybe it would be a crescent moon. Maybe it would be a light blue background. Maybe it's going to have a couple stars, and maybe the stars form a letter. I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there. That's your branding. You're going to want to put the title of what your event is. So Midnight Stampers would be on there. So that's like your logo. That is your branding. You are going to use that on your business Facebook page whenever you are trying to solicit these events when they're going to go live. Hi, Charlene. All right. So Live with Lisa is my example. I go ahead and I put that logo up about 4 or 5 days before I'm going to go live. And I'm like, hey, mark your calendars for this date. And I list all the time zones, just like I've done here for you so that you know when to watch. and I say, hey, this is what I'm gonna do, a live demonstration. I'm gonna give you tips. We're gonna have some fun. Join me. It's free for everybody. Short and sweet and to the point. Don't be afraid to copy and save that text and use it over and over. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. So a quick look at my notes here. I want to stay very focused on what we're talking about today. I don't like to go down a rabbit hole. How are you going to advertise? All right, let me back up. Once you got the logo, how are you going to create it? I am not good on Publisher. I am not a techie person at all. So everything you see, I have to thank Bob the Builder, who's my husband, and my daughter because of her skills. So I have learned the hard way. PicMonkey is going to be your very best friend. If you don't know how to use it, you're in great luck because it is super, super easy. So go to PicMonkey.com. When we're done with the video, I'll put the link up here on the screen so you can get there very easily. It's PIC and then the word monkey.com. I know it's kind of a strange name, isn't it? But it is super simple. And if I can figure it out, I know you can figure it out. But you can design in there. So you want to go and design your logo. You can play with graphics and overlays and colors and borders. And it's really, really fun. What I want you to do is start coming up with something. Share it here. Let us help critique you. Maybe it's too busy. Maybe there's too many colors. Maybe there's not enough color. Maybe you need some more text. But start designing. So go to PicMonkey and play. Now, for those of you that are very tech savvy, oh, I'd love to meet you. You can use Publisher, or if you've got another program, go for it. But share your graphic here so that we can all take a look at it and give you feedback from another perspective. You know, what I think looks great, I've been totally told it looks awful. So I need to tweak that because I'm gearing for the person who's visually watching, not what I like. So we have to make sure that we're catering to our audience. And because we're peers, because we're all stampers, we can be constructive and honest with each other about not hurting feelings. It's just a way to give you feedback about the direction that you're going. So the graphic is very important, and I need you to design that. That's really, really important. So the last time we met, we talked about coming up with a name for your Facebook Live. We also talked about what you're going to share. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the weeks to come, but you should be having a good idea now of what your path is and what you're going to be going forward for. All right. How are you going to advertise it? This is the next huge thing. And like I said, this is my favorite part about training with Facebook Live. Again, I don't guarantee that I know all the answers. And if we have a question that I can't figure out for you, I know people I can ask. So shoot me questions. I can see your comments below. So if you have things to say, by all means, please do so. Hi, Charlene. I'm glad that you joined us. All right. So how are you going to advertise it? I'm going to start with, do you have a blog? You don't. Okay, most of you don't, and that's okay. Do you have a DBWS? I hope you said yes, because if you're watching this, this means you're serious about your business, and that means you have to have a place to send them. And I recommend at least that at the very minimum. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but you can go to blogger.com and set up a free blog. It's templated. It's relatively easy to use. I mean, I figured it out. And you can get started. It's a place for you to create an atmosphere for these people to come to shop. That's what we ultimately want them to do, right? We want them to shop. If you don't have that, I'm going to encourage you that the DBWS is the way to go because they can shop there. They can also contact you there. You can also integrate your blog through there. Now, we have DBWS training for those of you that are with the Creativate team. Obviously, your leaders have gotten together and we've created all kinds of amazing videos. If you guys haven't watched some of those, shame on you because they are fabulous. We all take turns, we all do different subjects, and there's just a myriad of information there for you. So we're moving past the blog idea. So that's one place that you could advertise, that and your DBWS. How about your newsletter? Do you send a newsletter out to your customers? Maybe it's not fancy, maybe it's just an email, and that's fine. That's the other place that you're going to advertise. How about verbally? That's the most important thing. If you're like me and you're doing a face-to-face event, whether it's one a week or one a quarter, it doesn't matter. You're going to need to let them know. Get them engaged on social media. I will tell you statistically, I was looking at this just the other day, 98% of my customers are on Facebook. That is huge. Just a small amount aren't. Why? Because people are social for the most part, or they're curious. You know how you get that lurker, right? The person who just wants to go out there and just see what's out there and doesn't really like to leave a comment. Totally fine. What we're looking for is we're looking for engagement. So get that Facebook page going and make sure you let the people that you're in contact with know about it. All right? So at your classes, maybe take your little logo, the little thing you've designed, print it out on a paper, put it on a frame, put it in their flyers, put it on their wish list, anywhere, and let them know when you're going to be live. Make sure you include the link and the name of your business Facebook page so they can find you and like the page. The other thing is when you advertise, you need to have people liking the page. If they don't like the page, they won't get the notifications to follow you. So it's all a very centered and systematic process. All right, so we've talked a little bit about how we're going to advertise. Blog, DBWS, email, newsletter, and verbally. And here's the most important thing. You have to remind them. Do you guys notice how many times I've given you reminders about this event? I posted a schedule. Okay, big deal. That's gone. Like after 24 hours, we've moved on to the next thing. But I sent you a reminder yesterday. I sent you a reminder an hour before, and I sent you a reminder 5 minutes before. Why? Because I want to make sure you're here with me. And I need to remind you because your lives are busy. Your wives, your mothers, your neighbors, your coworker, you have a job, you're cleaning house, you're doing laundry. We can get distracted. So you have to remind people. Nobody's offended by a reminder if it's done lovingly and fun. So feel free to grab the graphics that I've been using here and save them to your computer and use them. Or here's another tip. Go into Google and in the search line at the top, type in coming soon or going live or 5 minutes till showtime, something, and then save those graphics to your computer because then you'll be able to access them. What happens too is my customers on my Facebook page know when they see that going live thing, they know I'm coming. At this point, I've got them trained visually to know it's not just the logo. They know when they start seeing those other graphics that it's getting closer and closer and closer. Because I will tell you another thing that I learned from my daughter, the social media pro. Most people interact with social media based on a graphic than text, which is why it's so important that on your business Facebook page, you are going to be sharing projects. You want to engage those viewers, okay? So we've talked a little bit about the graphic that you're going to have to create. We've talked about how you're going to share it. You need to do all of those if you can. It's about getting established and getting the word out. Trust me when I tell you that once you have the little graphic designed, the rest is easy because you're just pasting all that information in different social media platforms. Instagram, Twitter, all those are fine as well if you are on them, okay? I don't want to overwhelm you with a whole bunch of social media. So if it's just Facebook, that's fine. That's totally fine. All right, quick glance at my notes. All right, so let's talk about the biggest thing. I looked at my Facebook numbers this morning and I'm nearing 1,900. And remember how small I was when I first started. I will tell you the secret. It's in Facebook boosts. That's like a mouthful. Facebook boosts. How many times have you been on Facebook and in the news feed you see like something, maybe it's a weight loss thing, maybe it's a social media training, anything, and you'll see it says sponsored. Those are boosts. So let me explain to you now, before you poo-poo me and tell me there's no way I'm paying any money, I'm going to give you a bunch of tips about this, okay? Number one, you don't have to spend a lot. I think you're going to be surprised at what you can do with $5. I'm talking $5. It can reach 100 or 200 people you can't reach on your own. It's very, very important that you create a target audience. So if you were to click on a post that you put on your business Facebook page, again, lots of mouthfuls. Let's say you posted a card, all right? You'll see underneath it, there's a blue button that says boost. If you were to click on that, that navigates you to another page where campaigns, that's what they call them when you boost, a list of campaigns would come up of things you've done in the past, or of things that you may want to boost. So if this is your first one, it'll be your first one there. You can then create a target audience. And that's what you want to do. Don't let Facebook do it for you. You want to create a target audience. It's going to ask you where they live. So you want the US, obviously. Number 2, they're asking for age profile. All right. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't know too many 16-year-old girls or guys that have a lot of expendable income to buy paper crafts. Does that mean I exclude them? I personally do. But doesn't mean you don't. You do. If you're doing paper pumpkin, then you're going to include them. Why not, right? Maybe they have a paper route. Maybe they're working at the grocery store part-time. Maybe they're babysitting. Maybe they're really into Pinterest and DIY. So don't exclude them. By all means, include them. All right. Number 2, it's going to ask you if you want men or women. You need to decide who your target audience is based on what you're going to be providing on your Facebook page. So in other words, if you're doing paper pumpkin, for example, maybe it is men and women, because you know what? Paper pumpkin makes a great gift, doesn't it? It sure does. So even though you're targeting men and women, maybe that guy will look at that and go, you know what? My 20-year-old daughter in college loves to craft and she has no money. This would be a great gift for the next 6 months. Bingo, that's what you want to do. All right, so you have to target your audience, and you're going to create the profile for your target by choosing it. It's all bulleted and it just breaks it down so it's easy for you to decide. But again, that's very specific to what you're going to offer. So don't necessarily go by what I'm telling you. You have to go with what your gut tells you about what your product is telling you. And if you're not sure, by all means, ask here in the group and we'll give you feedback. Not just me. Let's ask other people. Let's see what they think. Number 1, don't underestimate yourself. Okay, this was something I did wrong from the beginning. I kept thinking, oh, guys are not going to like that. Oh, it's only girls. Maybe they need to be between 30 and 50. Oh my gosh, I have news for you. Some of my best online customers, now I'm talking about online right now, and I'll talk about live in a second. Some of my best online customers are over the age of, ready? 65. 65. Why? Their kids are grown and gone. Sometimes now they're widowed or they're alone for whatever reason, and they have time to craft. Although they're on a budget, they leave a budget for crafting if they're avid crafters. They may love your paper pumpkin ideas. They may love to see whatever you're going to provide as far as a technique or a project idea. So be very careful that you don't underestimate who your customer can be. Now, in my live events, I think you're also going to be surprised. My medium age is 45. Yep, 20-year difference between online and live. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? I'll bet you can come up with some answers. Number 1, live in that age group, they want a social outing. They want to be able to be with you and enjoy the craft and the fellowship that all provides. And they like to come for the chocolate. I know at my house, they go through tons of it. Okay? Online, they're looking for ways to fill their time without leaving home, because most of them, their driving has become very limited by choice, not because it has to. All right? We just spend more time at home as we get older. But does that mean that neither one of those will watch your Facebook Live? They both will. They both will. And like I said, 98% of my customers are on Facebook. So don't underestimate your customer base. This is why it's so important that you advertise everywhere. Everywhere. In face as well as in writing. Okay? So we've talked a little bit about that. So let's talk about the boost. So when you do the boost and you create the audience profile, all right, it then will ask you what your budget is. All right, I'm going to tell you to work backwards. And this is a little trick I've learned. It'll ask you your budget first, because Facebook is not stupid, right? When you go to build a house, they're always going to say, oh, what's your budget? No, work backwards. Decide what you want first and then determine your budget. Okay, when we remodeled our bathroom, I was like, oh, I wanted all of this. And then when I found out it exceeded my budget by double, I was like, holy cow, that's not going to work. So be very specific in what you're looking for. Okay, that's why you have to target. So instead of determining the budget, I want you to determine the time frame. If you scroll down a little bit lower inside the boost campaign, you'll see that you can run your ad for a specific time. Be very careful though, because it'll say 1 day, 7 day, 14 days, but there's also a bubble that you can mark that says choose your time frame. So here's what I usually do. If I'm advertising stamps in the mail and I know there's only a 7-day ordering period, I'm going to choose maybe 6 days. okay? Because I'm gonna put the boost on the day one, all right? I will choose 6 days, and then I will change my budget to $6, $1 a day for 6 days. Now you may see the estimated number of people that that audience will create for you, and you may get discouraged. 98 to 120 people? That's not very many. Are you getting that much on your own? For $1? Heck no. Are you doing it every day for 6 days on your own? Heck no. Go for it. Spend a small amount of money and try it. I'm going to tell you, it is the way I have built my business Facebook page. The way. But you don't do that until your page is all set up, you've got yourself branded, you've got your graphics, and you've got yourself lined up on what you're doing. Because you don't want to open the doors to your store, right? Let's pretend that this is a real store. The front doors to your store unless it's decorated and ready to go. Because if you expect people to like your Facebook page, you have to have something for them to go there for. So make sure that you're posting samples at the very minimum before you start your live, okay? They're not gonna come just for live stuff and then leave. You need to keep them engaged. All right, so boosting is the #1 tip on how to gain an audience. Now, let's talk a little bit about something I know you're thinking. Well, if I profile paper crafts and I profile rubber stamps and stamping, and you can choose a couple different things, I'm gonna get demonstrators. You are, but that's okay. Because here's the philosophy behind it. You're also gonna get non-demonstrators. You're also getting people who already paper craft that you don't know. Customers have a choice of where they choose to buy their business from. I will tell you too that I have found that online business is not as loyal as live business. So the customers in my class are very, very loyal to me. My online business, they could be here today, gone in 2 months. That's just the nature of what we do. Unfortunately, that requires that you continue to advertise, to reach out new people. Hi, Charlene. So please make sure that you're heeding what I'm telling you. And if it doesn't make sense, by all means, please ask me. I want to help you. So create the profile. Then what I want you to do is determine the length of time and then set the budget. Now, every once in a while, I have a post that I want to go crazy for. Maybe it's a quick tip video. Maybe it's a project, and I know it's going to be hot. You know how that is. You create this gorgeous thing, and you're like, oh, everybody is going to love this. Then spend a little bit more and boost it. Get people to come to you. Now, boosting your projects and your videos are important, but you're also going to boost your advertising for your Facebook Live event so that people can know that you're there and they know it's coming up. Once they have liked your page, they will start seeing the notifications. Hey, it's tomorrow. Hey, it's in an hour. Hey, it's in 5 minutes. And they're going to join you. Don't overestimate. I shouldn't say that. Why don't I rephrase what I want to say? Don't think on your very first Facebook Live that you should have 100 people watching you. It's not going to happen. And that's okay. But if you had 20 people there that you don't know, wouldn't that be better than holding an event live in your house or their house and schlepping your stuff and getting rid of your dog and your kids for 2 hours? Heck yeah. Not only that, it's easy to clean up just our mess, right? You have to try, and I'm telling you it works. All right, so let me quickly look at my notes. All right. All right, we talked about remind. Very, very important. What's the easiest way to do that? Well, if you would have looked at the posts that I put here reminding you on the Business Builders page, you may see little text at the bottom that says cinch share. Cinch share. I know that sounds like really weird. What are you saying? I'll make sure I point it out to you when we're done. I'll put in some text. It is an automatic scheduling for Pinterest and Facebook, and it makes my life so easy. Now, there's other platforms out there. That's the one I'm using right now. It's silly cheap. I think it's like $10 a month. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like $10 a month. But it allows you to schedule those things so that you don't have to sit in front of the clock and go, oh, it's an hour before, here comes a graphic. Oh, it's 5 minutes before, here's a graphic. Who wants to do that? Can't be bothered. Hi, Jennifer. So make sure that you make this as easy for you as possible. Is there some investment involved? Yes, of course there is. There's an investment from the second you buy your stamps, but it doesn't mean you're just going to hoard them in your stamp room and never use them or share them, right? Because we use them to show people our projects so that we can gain business. This is just one other way. If you want to do it manually while you get started, by all means, that's totally fine. But I think you're going to find after a couple Facebook Lives that you'll agree with me that this is absolutely an easier way for you to get the word out and send those reminders. All right? The most important thing I'm going to tell you before we're done is consistency, consistency, consistency. You cannot get discouraged. If it didn't work on attempt 1, you go to attempt 2. And if attempt 2 is slightly better but you feel discouraged, just stop that right there. Because you know what? Rome wasn't built in a day. None of us did an event the very first time that went off awesome, unless you're really lucky. So you have to be consistent. You can't just try it a couple times and be done. Here's my rule of thumb about anything that's brand new in your business, whether it's a live event, a class, a retreat, a fundraiser, anything, or Facebook Live. You have to give it 3 to 6 months before you can look at me and say, it didn't work. I need to know that you were consistently doing what you needed to do for a period of time to determine whether it was successful or not. I'll be honest with you. I went into the Facebook Live thing and I thought, you know what? If it doesn't work after a couple weeks, I'm just not going to do it. My daughter was like, oh, Mom, that's such the wrong thinking. You have to give it time, and you have to take the steps in order for people to know that you're there and what they're going to get without being too wordy to engage them. All right? So let's just recap, and then I have an action step for you. All right? So most importantly, you have to create that graphic. You have to create that icon that you're going to use to solicit your live events. And this would be on your business Facebook page where you are already sharing something, okay? Projects, preferably, all right? Remember, people are drawn to graphics, not text. That's really important. Number 2, figure a way to schedule those reminders as your Facebook Live comes up. Number 3, you have to boost your audience. You have to boost your posts. So consider a very small amount of money to get those boosts targeted and then solicited so they show up in people's news feeds as a sponsored advertisement on your behalf. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And then finally, you gotta be consistent. You gotta be consistent. You can't start today and say, I'll be back next week, and then not show up or be late or any of those things. You can't do it. How would you have liked it if I told you, oh, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm gonna be here, and you happen to be Eastern Standard Time, and it's now 8:07 and I show up? You know what you would think? Well, she's not taking this really seriously. Now, of course, life happens. If something happened that derailed me, I would tell you at the beginning when we started, because I'm here. I'm really here, and you're really there, and I'm really talking to you. So you're creating that connection, but you have to be consistent and you have to be professional. All right, here's your action step. You have to create the graphic. What is it going to look like for your Facebook Live? Are you Midnight Stamper? Then you're going to have to create a graphic. Go to PicMonkey. It's free. You can use it to design or use what you have. I want you to share it here on this Business Builders page within today and the next time that we're going to have our next training, which is going to be on February 7th. You have 6 days. You better get busy. I will tell you that I'm giving you this in little itty bitty steps on purpose, because if I were to just regurgitate it all, you guys would be like, oh, it's overwhelming. I'm doing this for a reason. I promise you at the end, you are going to be so ready. You are so ready. So go and create your graphic, and then I want you to share it here in our page and let us give you some feedback on if it needs any changes. All right, you got lots of stuff to do. Go get busy, and I'll be back here to post a couple links and a couple names to help you with some of the things I talked about tonight, like Cinch Share and PicMonkey, okay? All right, guys, I'm so glad that you joined me. I hope to see you next week because I'll be here. Have a great night, everyone.